Hey guys, welcome back to the garden. So today we're going to be talking about the driveway garden renovation. So as you know, we've mentioned in several of the videos and our tours and such that the white spire birch that we've had here that I planted probably 5 years ago have quite a bit of lean onto them. I don't know how much of it you can see on this one, but they're leaning over the driveway and not very full on that side to compensate for the look. So our plan was to come through with Parkland Pillar white birch. So we would stick with the white birch theme, but this fastigiate type, what gets 40 foot tall, 6 to 7 foot wide, would be planted. They're about my height out of the ground, and we would, basically keep on top of them to stand, go straight up. So I made a few calls just to talk to two of my friends to see what their thoughts were on the whole process. And the first one was like, yeah, these could be fixed, but do you have a year or two to wait to see if they stick? Because of how tall they are, we would have to really do some restraining on them to the grass field, which makes it a little bit harder to mow around that area, but it's doable. I said, I'm willing to give it a try. But from there, I was kind of like hesitant. I was more looking for an answer of, it's okay to take these guys out. And jokingly, they said, well, if that's what you're looking for, yeah, by all means. I mean, you've got the new trees already, so just cut these down and restart. It's not that big of a deal. But in reality, that wasn't the answer I wanted. So I called another friend and asked what they would do. And immediately they brought up some really good, interesting points that I thought would be good to share with you. First and foremost, because these trees are already so established, it would be a very dramatic change. They are still young enough that we can correct the lean, and they are very much wiggly that we could flex them back into place that we would want them and monitor them from there. The other thing was that immediately made the decision for me was Parkland pillars are very fastigiate. That is a very formal look. And because this is a problem area, and you can see that it's getting a lot of wind right now in the spring, we get a lot of wind from this direction, weirdly, and from the west. So it's west and northwest. So that's why they have compensated for growing in this direction. So if we started off with those, if any of them were to fall out of place because we weren't monitoring them close enough, we'd end up in the same situation, and it would be super, super noticeable. So at the time, the truck was already over, the chain was on it, I started getting emotional. And I'm not sentimental about moving or fixing a problem, but I actually started freaking out and just said, no, we're going to correct these. I could not do it. So we are going to correct them. We're going to do a different video, but essentially we're going to come up to a point where the caliper of the tree is still very flexible. And we're going to do a strap around this side and anchor it back with 2 spikes. So we've got 3 trees that are very large. But as you can see down here, the younger tree is a lot more behind, but it was planted at the same time. This tree actually resided at the end of the driveway, and the tree that was previously here was rubbed down by a buck in its second year. So the whole trunk was mutilated, and there was no chance of that tree coming through. I even allowed it to try to leaf out to see if it was healthy enough, but it was not. So what we did was I moved this tree up. This one's going to require just a little bit of pruning to get it into a shape that I'm okay with, and it does need limbed up. But down here, I want to show you Parkland Pillar and explain why I planted that one down there. So excuse the busy road. We're really, really close, and it's going to be very, very noisy. But this is Parkland Pillar. Now, this is a new white birch from the first edition Trees and Shrubs line that gets 40 foot tall, 6 to 7 foot wide. The reason I chose to put one down here is because directly to the right of me, we have our turnaround. And when we get deliveries, the larger trucks do pull into our driveway because of the busy road. And they'll pull up and they tend to turn around in the turnaround and then go back out on the main road. If we chose a traditional white birch, not only would we have to limit up extra high compared to our vehicles, it would look out of balance. It would also shade the weeping Alaskan cedar that is to the left of me, flanking each side of our driveway. So this fastigic type will keep us within bounds and won't cause any damage to it if they, pull forward and their tops hit it, which could lead to open wounds. Now, this particular variety is bred for more disease resistance as well, more drought tolerance, and its fast growth. It also gets a beautiful gold foliage during the fall, and then during the winter, as it matures, we'll start seeing the classic white bark as all white birch do. So I have 5 of these. Here's one, but I'm sure you're curious where I chose to place the other ones. So let's go take a look around the yard and see if we can find them. All right, so this is the front border of the garden, so I'm sure you've already seen this before. And this year, it's really a passion project to bring this section of my garden back to. Over the last couple of years, I've been really working on the back and neglected the front, and it's really, really showing. So in the effort to renovate it, we are bringing in a mixed hedge of trees and shrubs to block out this busy road and to give us some more privacy. Because Parkland Pillar is such a fast grower, it's going to really fill out this area really, really quick. So 6 to 7 foot wide. We are going to have a little bit of overlap as far as canopy from our thundercloud plum to this area at its mature size, and this. Perfectly fine. The sun comes up over this side and sets that way. So really this is going to be getting all day sun with no issue. Over here we have the Pacific Blue pine that will get 12 to 15 foot wide. So stepping that off, there is going to be just a little bit of shading on that, but really pines can handle that a little bit, and because of what's around it, no issues there. This is going to get very tall. So 40 foot, we needed to think about the power lines that are above us. And because it's so narrow, it won't actually grow into the power lines, but it might get up there and grow. Now, if the companies were to have to come through and for some reason this is a super, super weird plant and decides to grow even taller than it's supposed to, they could limit, and there's really no problem with it because the height of it at that point, that little bit of a forking won't matter. But this is a really beautiful addition. I think this will be really nice when fall comes around and we have that yellow color setting off from the blue pine, and then the white will add some winter interest as well. Now, we chose to put it out here even though it's deciduous for a privacy area because we do like to see the road out here during the winter, but we want total privacy during the summer when we're spending our time out here in the gardens. As you can see, when we come into the backyard, they are out in the back border. Now, this was not the original plan, and when I just put them there to see what would happen, I immediately fell in love with this. Now, this is an interesting area. We have a very large swoop that comes out, and because it is so large, I didn't want exactly one focal point. As you know, we have the columnar Norway spruce, we have the Oriental Skylands Oriental spruce over there, and then I wanted to put some smaller trees, shrubs off in the area where it swoops back in on each side, but I just didn't know what I wanted to put here. And it seemed really weird to just put like one crabapple or just one of something of mass. And if you did something too small, then it would just look weird. But you also needed something to anchor this spot. So I put these out here and they are absolutely perfect. I could not have well, I mean, I did think of this because I put them out here, but this wasn't my first thought. And I really think it brings just the perfect touch to the back garden. I do like mixing a bit of formality into my gardens when they're so wild. So there's a few things that I really try to remember to do in each of my designs and plantings in my gardens and my clients' gardens, is to bring some of that structure into it, because if you don't have maybe something maintained or crisp edges or punctuations, everything else can seem a bit too messy. So I really like this bit of formality now in the back garden because it really helps balance the amount of crazy plantings and the wild naturalistic goals that I always have in this garden, and brings a bit of structure, a sense of organization in the garden when there's so much going on. Being a plant collector, it can be very, very hard to put a design together, and I'm still working on it. Don't ever feel like it's done, because it's not. You're always going to bring home another plant that's got to find a spot, and it may require you to tweak a whole entire section of your garden. But starting with these, this is going to be perfect for back here. Now, I'm not going to plant these today. There's a number of plants in the area that I do need to lift. Some that will be going, some that will be staying, but they're going to be planted in a different manner in order to get these in. So I'm just keeping them very, very well watered. I have been enjoying them from our patio and from the windows at the back. And then when I come into the garden, it just feels so good. So I'm really excited about this. So even though that they're in a trio and they're going to get 6 to 7 foot wide, they will touch, create a little bit of a shady nook. I am going to limb these ones up as well, because I want to be able to plant underneath of them, and I want to put some other small shrubs and such, and then layer in some perennials. But these will get really tall, and they're going to block our view out of the apartments behind us, which is perfect. And I don't know. I'm just so happy that I tried them here, because it just immediately was a yes moment. Side note, if you want an update on our fringe tree, it's still alive, no growth yet. So just holding on, just holding on. So the goals today are to finish out sheet mulching around these. I've done one corner. I need to get these done. I've been procrastinating. And then I'm going to start taking out some of the plants, and we'll get these planted later on. So we'll update you in a future video on these. But if you're looking for an amazing tree that doesn't take up very much space at all as far as width, but wants to be very tall, and you're wanting to block something out with a fast grower, check out Parkland Pillar birch tree from First Edition Trees and Shrubs. I'll see you guys in the next video. Talk to you then. Bye.